Hello, church. Welcome to the end of another week. So I have just a few announcements. One of those has to do with how excited we are to be able to offer our outdoor in-person communion service on Sunday, September 13th. So our e-news this week has information about the requirements that need to be followed in order for us all to be safe during that time. And one of those is to RSVP by September 11th. And so you can do that by completing a health acknowledgement form that you'll find on our church website. The link is like up in the upper right-hand corner, and I think it's provided in our e-news as well. And we just need that in advance so that we know who's coming and we ensure that we follow that requirement. If you know somebody who can't complete that online, just have them simply call the church office and we'll be able to help make that happen. Now, I also want to talk just a little bit about that invitation you received last week to provide input into our strategic planning process. For some of you, that may be kind of new language. Some of you may know that language from more of a secular setting, and it's very much similar. But really what strategic planning means for us is that we're trying to be much more intentional about our path forward as a church. And so really, every year we should be doing strategic planning, setting goals for the next year. And those goals should always relate to our mission and our vision and our values as a church. And so we know that our mission is to make disciples of Jesus Christ. God gives that to us. We don't need to change that. Our vision, though, is how God uniquely calls us as a church to fulfill that mission in a specific period of time. And so vision changes over time. Vision is meant to propel us. And so sometimes visions are accomplished, fulfilled. Other times we find that they no longer propel us forward because perhaps just over time things begin to change, especially in the nature of the makeup of the congregation or events that are happening in the community or around us, because our vision should always be an intersection of the resources and gifts and passions that God has given us with the needs of the community. And so over time, sometimes those things change. And so we did a visioning process a couple years ago through our revitalization process. And we knew that that vision was only going to carry us for about a year to a year and a half. And so it's time to revision again as we prepare to do the strategic planning. And so that's the first part of the work that the board will be doing. And we'll be bringing some of the information from the revitalization process into that. And also we have asked for some answers to some questions. Now, none of these questions really have to do with our individual personal desires for the church, but rather they're meant to be reflective questions on how God has created us to be, who God has created us to be as a church, how God has resourced us and gifted us to be the church, and then to also think about needs in the community. And so the board's going to be working with Reverend Jason Stanley, who's a colleague in the Virginia Annual Conference, because it's always good to bring in a kind of an outside objective person to help lead us through this process. And we look forward to kind of just seeing where this is able to take us. This was work that we were meant to be doing back in the spring, and we're about to embark on just before the pandemic hit. And so then we were no longer able to meet in person, and we've been responding and reacting to everything with the pandemic. And so now we're finally back in a place where we can make this a focus for us. And so that's why the timing as well. And so if you have questions about that process, I'd love for you to reach out to me or to Laura White-Fleet-Smith, our board chair. But I do invite you to take a look at that survey again and take some time to respond. I'm really thankful for the responses we've received so far. But we'd love to hear back from you by Sunday, September 6th. So I hope you'll take a moment to be part of that and to give your voice into our collective reflection on where God may be leading us. A couple other things is that we're looking forward to being able to allow groups to meet in person indoors starting the week of September 13th. There's one group that's contemplating doing that already. We have Ricky Noble's Bible study, Sermon on the Mount, coming up, and next week she'll be able to announce how that's going to be offered in person or on Zoom, or perhaps even both were options, and she's been getting input from all of you. And so if you're interested in that study, there's still the form to fill out online that you can express your interest, or you can simply reach out to Ricky yourself. Our sermon series this week ends, our sermon series on Broken. This is going to be our last week. And we also have a time of blessing and prayer for teachers and for our children returning to school, and also all of our devices. But then also we have a special a special offering from our choir. And that's all I'm going to say about that right now, but I hope you will join us for worship and know that that offering is going to enhance our worship experience together. So friends, as we continue to journey forward, I pray that we continue to stay connected as we have, and know that in the coming weeks we'll have more opportunity to find ways to be connected as we continue to move through this time in such a different way. But remembering that we're still the fellowship of believers, and that we're still the church, and that we still are being the church. And I give thanks for all the ways that I see God at work. Next week, you're going to hear from our discipleship team on the work that they've been doing. And I've just been so thankful to see us continuing to move forward. And I pray that we all can stay engaged, knowing that together we can fulfill the vision and mission that God has for us. Because friends, even when we're not meeting in person, there's ways that we can still impact our community and continue to share the love of Jesus Christ and do our part to be a part of Christ's work in the world, to build the kingdom by making disciples. Friends, go in peace and be blessed. Stay well.